Welcome to Terberg Tractors Malaysia, TTM. As part of your onboarding process, you are required to complete a safety induction by watching this video. At the end, please answer the quiz to confirm your attendance. The passing score is 7. If you score below that, you will need to resubmit the quiz. Thank you for your attention, and let's begin. A policy is a set of rules or guidelines that tells employees how things should be done at work. It covers things like behavior, attendance, safety, and how to handle problems. Essentially, it helps everyone understand what is expected of them and how to work together smoothly. In TTM, we have one main safety policy called Environment, Safety, and Health Policy, and other 3 sub-policy, which are Stop Work Policy, Drugs and Alcohol Policy, and 5S Policy. The ESH, or Environmental, Safety, and Health Policy, is crucial for a company because it ensures a safe workplace, protects the environment, and promotes the health of employees. In simple terms, it helps keep everyone safe and healthy, prevents accidents, and shows that the company cares about the planet. This not only helps avoid legal issues, but also boosts employee morale and can improve the company's reputation. Second is the Stop Work Policy, which means that anyone, workers, managers, contractors, visitors, and outsiders has the right to stop any unsafe activity at any time and in any place. Next is the Drug and Alcohol Policy, which aims to keep the workplace free from drugs and alcohol. If you're not feeling well, please avoid to work in the office, and it is advisable for you to get a medical attention. Lastly is the 5S policy, which is super important because it keeps things neat and running smoothly. It involves 5 steps: sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. This helps cut down on clutter, keeps everyone safe, and makes it easy to find stuff. Basically, a tidy workspace means better productivity and a happier place to work. Now, let's take a moment and watch this video. Imagine you are working here. The question is, who do you think is responsible for your safety at work? The answer is everyone. It's not just up to you, your manager, or the safety department. Everyone needs to take the responsibility to create a safe work environment. Let's take a look of the responsibility of employers as stated in Occupational Safety and Health Act, or OSHA 1994. First, employers are responsible for ensuring that the workplace is safe and healthy for all workers. Second, employers must adhere to all laws and regulations related to workplace safety and health. Third, employers should carry out regular risk assessments to identify and mitigate hazards. Fourth, employers must provide adequate safety training to workers regarding procedures and equipment use. And lastly, if employers are found guilty of any violation of this act, employers can be fined up to 500,000 ringgit or imprisonment for up to 2 years. Now, as workers, we are also responsible for workplace safety, according OSHA 1994. Workers must comply with all safety instructions and procedures set by the employer. Next, workers need to take measures to protect themselves and their colleagues from risks and hazards. Workers are also required to report any hazardous conditions or incidents to the employer or management. Then, workers should always use tools and materials safely and according to instructions. Lastly, if workers also found to be guilty of any violation of this act, workers can be fined up to 2,000 ringgit or imprisonment for up to 3 months. These are our 10 ESH Golden Rules. Each rule is designed to protect everyone, including the environment. By following them every day, we prevent accidents, stay compliant, and make sure everyone goes home safe. The first rule is to check your work area, tools, and equipment before starting the job. Fix the hazards safely or report them right away. Second rule is road safety. Follow all the traffic rules, respect speed limits, and stick to designated routes to keep everyone safe. The third rule is personal protective equipment, or PPE. Always wear the right PPE and make sure it is in good condition. Rule number 4 is nicotine use. Smoking and vaping are only allowed in designated areas to reduce fire risks and keep the workplace safe. And the fifth one is work permits. All contractors must have a valid work permit before starting any job, and all the high-risk work must have the correct permit to be approved first. The sixth rule is the chemical safety. It's essential to manage all chemicals by handling, labeling, storing, and disposing properly to prevent spills, protect people, and the environment. Seventh rule is waste management. Segregate waste correctly, whether it is general, recyclable, or hazardous, and recycle whenever possible. The eighth rule is electrical safety. Always shut off power, lock out and tag out, and double-check before starting any work. Ninth rule is emergency preparedness. Identify the location of fire extinguishers, fire alarms, first aid kit, chemical spill kit, and eye wash stations, and make sure they are accessible and in good condition. Finally, the last rule is incident reporting. Report all incidents, injuries, or near misses immediately to the immediate superior or supervisor, no matter how small it is. Let's review some key safety concepts to better understand what they mean and how they apply to our daily work. This shows the difference between a hazard and a risk. A hazard is anything that has the potential to cause harm. For example, a knife can cause injury if handled incorrectly, and stagnant water can allow mosquitoes to breed, which can lead to disease. A risk is the likelihood that the hazard will actually cause harm. Using the same examples, the knife could cause a finger cut, if not used properly. And mosquito breeding could result in dengue if a person is bitten. In simple terms, the hazard is the source of potential harm, and the risk is the chance of that harm occurring. Now let's take a look at the difference between incidents and hazards. An incident refers to any unplanned event that could have resulted in injury, illness, or damage. This includes both situations where harm occurred and those where harm was narrowly avoided. A work injury occurs when an individual is injured as a result of an incident at work. For example, if a worker suffers back pain or strain while lifting heavy materials, this is classified as a work injury. A near miss is an event where an incident takes place but no one is harmed, often due to fortunate circumstances or quick reactions. For instance, if a worker is nearly hit by a moving truck but manages to step away just in time, that is a near miss. Next, let's learn about hazards which mainly caused by unsafe conditions and unsafe actions. Hazard is anything that has the potential to cause harm. An unsafe condition describes a physical state in the workplace that increases the likelihood of an incident. For example, a faulty electrical socket can pose a risk of electric shock to the worker. An unsafe act or action refers to behavior that increases the risk of an incident occurring. For example, if a worker performs welding without wearing proper PPE, they are engaging in an unsafe act that could result in burns or other injuries. Next, we'll learn about the different types of physical hazards. These hazards don't just exist in the workplace, they can also happen in our daily lives, even outside working hours. The first is physical hazard, which includes the slip, trip, and fall, manual handling, noise, and vibration. Secondly, the chemical hazard, which can cause fire, explosion, spillage, and contamination. Third is biological hazard, which is basically from living things causing ill health disease, such as dengue, COVID, or infection. Next is ergonomic hazard, which means arranging work and tools to fit people. If the setup is not right, like sitting in a bad posture, lifting the wrong way, or repeating the same movement too often, it can cause body pain or injury over time. Then we have psychosocial hazards, which are things at work that affect how we feel mentally and emotionally. They don't cause physical injuries right away, but they can lead to stress, fatigue, anxiety, or even health problems if not managed properly. Lastly is the natural hazard, which are dangers that come from nature and the environment around us. They are events we cannot control, but we can prepare for them to stay safe, such as flooding, hot weather, or rainy season. This is the key safety hazards at TTM workshop activities. We have fall from height, road or commuting accident, dropped object, back injury, body or hand injury, eye injury, electrocution, and lastly, the fire and explosion. Attention to new employee or trainee. Please do not work without supervision from your supervisor. Next is the key safety hazards at the office. We have slip, trip, and fall, finger injury, back injury, electrocution, fire and musculoskeletal disorder, or MSD. Previously, we have learned about the different types of safety hazards that can affect people at work. Now, let's take a look at hazards to the environment, which we call environmental aspects. First, air emission. This comes from combustion, manufacturing processes, or transportation. If not controlled, it can cause air pollution. Next, land discharge. Things like solid waste disposal, improper storage, or soil contamination with chemicals. Then we have water discharge, which can pollute groundwater, reduce water quality, and harm aquatic life. Natural resources are also affected. Using too much energy or destroying habitats can deplete resources and damage the environment. Next is waste byproduct. Waste can be solid, liquid, or gas. If handled poorly, it causes pollution. But with recycling, we can manage it better. We also need to consider noise and vibration. Too much can harm hearing, disturb wildlife, and raise concerns in nearby communities. Finally, physical attributes refer to how land use impacts nature. With proper planning, we can reduce damage and support sustainability. All these aspects remind us that our actions at work have an impact on the environment. By managing them properly, we help protect people, nature, and our future. The next rule is about road safety. At TTM, all employees, including contractors, must follow traffic rules at all times. The speed limit is 20 kilometers per hour within TTM premises and 35 kilometers per hour inside customer port premises. Wherever reverse parking is indicated, it must be followed. Any violation of these traffic rules will be the responsibility of the individual, and action will be taken accordingly. Remember, following road safety rules protects not only you, but also your colleagues and the community. The third rule is personal protective equipment, or PPE. In TTM, the basic and mandatory personal protective equipment, PPE, are mainly a safety helmet, safety shoes, and a safety vest or uniform with reflective strips. However, depending on the task, workers must also wear eye protection, ear protection, face shield, face mask, and hand protection suited to the activity, such as goggles for cutting, ear muff in noisy areas, and safety gloves when handling a sharp or hot materials. PPE is the last resort in the hierarchy of control. Wearing PPE does not guarantee that accidents will not happen. However, it plays an important role in reducing the severity of injuries if an incident occurs. That's why PPE must always be used correctly and consistently as part of safe work practices. Rule number 4 is nicotine use. Smoking and vaping are not allowed anywhere in TTM premises, except at designated areas. This is required under OSHA 1994 and the Smoking Product Control Act 852. Breaking this rule can cost you up to 5,000 ringgit in fines. and you may also face company action. So, please follow the rules and help us keep TTM a smoke-free and healthy workplace. Rule number 5 is work permit. All contractors working inside TTM premises are required to apply for permit to work or PTW and indemnity letter from SSD or project coordinator from TTM side. Certain high-risk tasks on site will require specific work permits. This system helps us manage risk and ensure that safety measures are in place before any work begins, such as hot work activity, confined space, electrical, and working at height activity. Each of these permits is valid only for a limited time. Please make sure you have the correct permit before starting any job. Safety starts with proper approval. Rule number 6 is chemical management. Did you know a chemical can be a solid, liquid, or gas that could harm your health, safety, or pollute the environment if not handled properly? This includes things we use daily on site, like acids, cleaning products, and gases. Chemicals can also affect your health in long term by inhalation, ingestion, or absorption. That's why we always handle them carefully, wear the right PPE, store them safely, and dispose of them properly. At TTM, we also use chemicals such as mineral oil, degreaser, coolant, anti-rust spray, and paint. These chemicals can be dangerous. They may cause spills, pollute the environment, or even start a fire or explosion if not handled properly. Always store, use, and dispose of chemicals safely, and follow the safety instructions provided. Rule number 7 is waste management. At TTM, we generate 3 types of waste. The first one is general waste. This includes non-contaminated waste such as paper, plastic, hoses, air filters, window glass, wooden pallets, windscreens, and tires. The second is scrap metal, such as wire ropes, aircon dryers, damaged motors, and other metal items. The third is scheduled waste. This is hazardous and must be managed carefully as required by the Department of Environment, DOE. Examples are waste oil, oil filters, used coolant, used batteries, electrical waste, and contaminated gloves, rags, plastics, or paper. All scheduled waste must be segregated according to its SW code, properly labeled, and securely packed. It must not exceed 20 metric tons or 180 days before being disposed of by a DOE-registered contractor. One of the environmental programs in TTM is called 3R: Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle. This means we try to reduce waste, like using less paper. We also reuse items where possible and recycle materials to give them a new life. The 3R program also reminds us to reduce, reuse, and recycle so we can protect our environment for the future. Rule number 8 is electrical safety. First and foremost, any work involving electrical equipment must only be done by a qualified person. This is to make sure that no one without proper training exposes themselves to unnecessary risk. It is very important to identify all power sources that make a machine move be isolated. If these sources are not isolated, there's a danger that the machine could start unexpectedly while someone is working on it. Once the power sources are identified, we must lock all of them to prevent accidental movement. This process is part of what we call lockout tagout, or LOTO. Please remember that before servicing or repairing any equipment, disconnect the electrical power completely and confirm that it is off. Always confirm the power is off before carrying out any tasks. Next, rule number 9 is emergency response. Do you know what to do during an emergency? First, do not panic. Stay calm. Stop your work and, if possible, switch off the machinery. Close all doors behind you. Always move to lower levels. Never use the lift, only use the stairs, and hold the handrail. Then, go straight to the nearest assembly area and report yourself to the area warden. Remember, Staying calm and following these steps can help keep everyone safe. In the event of a fire, remember the acronym RACE. The first step is remove, which means taking anyone who is in immediate danger to a safer location, but only if it is safe for you to do so. The second step is alarm. Activate the fire alarm system or alert others nearby so that everyone is aware of the danger. The third step is contain. If possible, close doors and windows to slow down the spread of fire and smoke. The final step is evacuate. Leave the building quickly and calmly, using the nearest safe exit. Never use the lifts during a fire. If you are trained and it is safe, you may attempt to extinguish a small fire, but your safety always comes first. If you are trained and the fire is small enough to be controlled, you can use a fire extinguisher. Remember the acronym PASS. First, pull the pin at the top of the extinguisher to unlock the handle. Next, aim the nozzle at the base of the fire, not at the flames, because targeting the base is the only way to stop the fire effectively. Then, squeeze the handle to release the extinguishing agent. Finally, sweep the nozzle from side to side across the base of the fire until it is completely out. And again, only attempt this if the fire is small, manageable, and you have a clear escape route. If the fire grows or you feel unsafe, evacuate immediately and let emergency services handle it. As a worker, you are responsible to know what to do during emergencies. It is important for you to know who your area warden is, know where your assembly point is, know the emergency numbers, and know the location of emergency equipment such as fire extinguishers, first aid kits, spill kits, and emergency break glass. Being prepared helps protect not only yourself, but also your team. The final rule is incident reporting. Let's go through the types of cases that must be reported immediately. Lost time injury occurs when an employee cannot work for their next scheduled shift due to a work-related injury. Medical treatment cases require professional medical care beyond basic first aid. First aid cases involve immediate medical attention provided on site for minor injuries. Next is the property damage, refers to any damage to equipment, vehicles, or facilities, regardless of severity, and should be reported. Then, we have accidental air emissions, or wastewater and oil discharges. These can cause environmental harm and must be addressed and reported without delay. Next is a near miss, which is an incident that could have caused injury, damage, or loss, but was avoided, often due to quick action or luck. We also have fire incidents. Whether large or small, they must be reported so they can be investigated and prevented in the future. Chemical spills is another reportable case. Any release of hazardous substances must be contained and reported right away. The key point is that no matter how minor something may seem, if it fits any of these categories, it must be reported. This ensures prompt action, proper investigation, and, most importantly, the prevention of future incidents. Last but not least, in TTM, we have 4 programs to build a strong safety culture. First is safety interaction, an informal sharing session between managers and the operation team. The goal is for workers to stay alert on safety and for managers to spot any ESH improvements. Second is hazard reporting, where employees report hazards at the workplace so action can be taken immediately. Both safety interaction and hazard reporting are part of every department's KPI, so everyone is accountable. Please check with your head of department for your KPI target. For the operational team, there are 2 more programs. The Right to Start, RTS, briefing happens daily before shift begins. It helps the team stop, switch on to safety mode, and share incidents or hazards at the work area. Finally, there's the Take 5 assessment, a short, pre-task risk check that takes less than 5 minutes. This simple step helps prevent accidents and injuries before starting work. Together, these programs keep safety alive in our daily routine. All these safety culture programs can be easily accessed by scanning the QR code and completing the questionnaire. For the online Take 5, it is compulsory for all technicians, storemen, and contractors to complete it every day before starting work. This quick step helps everyone stay safe and ready for the job. We have now reached the end of our ESH induction training. If you have any questions, please reach out to your superior or directly to the Safety and Sustainability Department. Always remember, safety starts with you, and it is a shared responsibility for everyone.